So it's beautiful stuff, right? You can see it's the light. Got a real light textures now, and then a beautiful design on it. And it's not what you usually think of as kelp, you know? It's just beautiful in the water. I've fallen in love with it. I never thought I'd fall in love with a vegetable, but it's just gorgeous. Well, my name is Bren Smith. I'm owner of Thimble Island Oyster Company, and we're out here in the Thimble Islands in Brantford, Connecticut. I'm one of the first vertical ocean farmers in the country growing a mix of shellfish and seaweeds for use as good local food, but also fuel, fertilizer, while also addressing issues of rising population, overfishing, and climate change acidification pressure on our oceans.
Well, a couple of years ago, we passed legislation specifically geared toward expanding the seaweed industry in Connecticut. And we recognize that we have the right climate for it. We have folks who are interested in expanding the industry, like Bren Smith in New Haven and Brantford. With this legislation, we've lowered the lease terms so that it's not too costly to lease a bed. And I think we've done a lot to kind of spur the industry.
You gotta remember, everything we grow requires no feed, no fertilizer, no fuel, no land. These are all things that are in short supply. Fresh water on land, feed prices going up, making it actually the most sustainable form of food on the planet, but also the most affordable food because I don't have to feed this stuff.
Kelp, you get 5 times more ethanol per acre than corn, and it's, again, zero input. So all the problems with land-based biofuels just fade away.
Farms are designed to restore, not deplete our oceans. They soak up 5 times more carbon than land-based plants, so our farms sequester carbon in this era of climate change. The entire farm functions as an artificial reef system, attracting over 150 different species. Besides, growing good food, restoring our ecosystems is green jobs. We want to create good middle-class jobs for people here in Connecticut. What we did was we open-sourced our farm, so anybody with 20 acres and a boat and $30,000 can start their own farm, be up and running. We have a farmer training program through my NGO GreenWave where people get small grants, they get seed, they get free gear from Patagonia, and 2 years of training through our NGO so they can start their own farms and be up and running their first year. The hub is going to both host farmers markets, and it'll have a Beyond Fish retail store. We'll have the CSF in here, in Community Supported Fisheries. We'll have a pop-up restaurant. So think of it as a space. With this as the heart of production, and that's where we're creating value, but we're able to create a whole community around it.
When we unwrap the kelp and thaw it out, as a chef, we could chop it further, we could scramble it with our eggs, we could put it with potatoes, we could saute it with olive oil and garlic, we could make a stuffing out of it, put it inside of a calamari tube, put it inside of a filet of beef, we can put it on top of a pizza, we could dry it in the oven, we can put it in with our popcorn, we can make a kelp chili, a vegetarian chili, we could do stir fry with it alone or with chicken or with beef. We can make kelp cakes, kelpaladas like an enchilada with kelp, quesadillas, kelpadillas we call them, kelp sliders we've made, you name it, we could kelp it. These are all recipes that I have from my kelp book, which hopefully will advocate the culinary process and culinary application for our local chefs. Here in Norwalk, we train to the employer. So if the employer wants a certain type of training, we try to teach our students to cook to their standards. And this kelp is really helping things along. It's exposing the students to a different type of culinary application, food manufacturing and processing and packing. And ideally, in the long run, they'll be using this kelp regularly, and our students will have been trained on it. So it doesn't get mushy, it always maintains its shape in the noodle process that we did. It really is delicious.
This is a business, and so there are lots of things that we can do. I was just talking to Brent about it within the Department of Economic and Community Development to incentivize and encourage these startup companies that are really doing cutting-edge work. They're doing a lot of research and development. They're doing manufacturing now. They're growing jobs, and they're growing an ecosystem of businesses. They're joining forces with other people who are really interested in this kind of thing. They're training them, and they're allowing them and helping them to go out and start companies of their own, and everything will be interconnected.
We can have hundreds of small-scale 20-acre farms dotting our coastlines, surrounded by conservation zones. that are growing good food, they're producing fertilizer, animal feed, all sorts of stuff. And suddenly we have an engine that's robust enough that we can bring our crops to land and reclaim the fossil fuel industry like the coal plants in Bridgeport and other places and turn them into kelp factories, produce the seaweed biofuels, and really reimagine what our industrial economy into a new blue-green economy in this era of climate change. So this isn't just about starting farms. The hope is, say here in Connecticut, we'd have 25 to 50 farms and then a whole infrastructure on land to support them and to create value-added products, which then creates all different startups.